Hello and welcome to another video by Security Guide. Today I would like to take this opportunity to explain how we can set up a home or office server or web server, and we can use actual server machine or just a home PC to turn it to a server and access it to create a website or copy files or anything that we want to do. So it will be for the beginners, as I'm a beginner myself, so just what I've learned so far I would like to share it with you. We will have the computer here to connect through the LAN. We will have the computer to connect through the WAN and internet, and then we will have a server here which we will use to install and access and create as a server. So what we will do today is we will create a web server using actual HP server and one PC. Probably I might use this one, I might use another one, I don't know, this is maybe broken, but I will find one PC just to do the same process as the server. Okay, first we will begin with explaining the IP address, local IP address and public IP, and WAN versus LAN. So I will use the whiteboard to explain it very simply. All right, so what we have here, let's say internet is in this side, and we have the home router. So whatever is in this side of the map are called WAN, or wide area network. Is actually the very last point to connect you to the internet would be your internet provider, or the ISP, internet service provider. In the other side will be your home network, where all of your devices will be connected to the router to get connected to the internet. Let's say, for example, you have your smart TV, you will have your PC, you might have your phone, mobile phone, and then any other devices that are using internet. Tonight here we want to show you the LAN system within our office. So what we have here are few computers. We've got about 16 computers, PCs, and we have a server PC, we call it big server. Let me see what name. All right, we call it local big server. And then we will have one other PC that is in a different room but is connected to the same router. So now we're talking about IPs. In this side of the map, we call everything LAN, or local area network. So we've got one network in the right side of the router, everything within our own place, and on the left side we've got the internet, the connection of whole world and all of the devices connected in the world. Let's think of an IP address as your home address. So your home will have one unique postal address that nobody else in the world will have that address. So it's unique. Why? Because it goes first as the country that you are, and then the city that you live in, area, your street, and then your door number. So nobody's got that full address the same as yours. The public IP is nothing different. It's in the same way. So if you've got one IP address, public IP, nobody else at that moment, same time, will have the same. So we call that public IP. If something looks a bit weird, it's like 86.9.125.88. It's something like that. Okay, I explained to you that IP addresses generally are following a format of 4 parts. So each part is 3 digits, not succeeding 255. So you can have any number in here up to 255. But then this is a number that your ISP will dedicate to you and your router. So everyone in the world, any traffic can recognize where you are. When you're sending a request to see a website or for anything, you will send information about your IP as well. So this returning information will know where to go and deliver back the requested data from your side. But then this IP address will stop at the point of your router and is not allowed to go in. So what the router does is it distributes a different local IP addresses within your local area network. It first reserves the very first one to itself. We also call it gateway number, because that's a gateway, or router number, gateway number. And normally is not always, but generally it follows a very familiar format. It's like 192.168, for example, .1.1. So that's the IP, that will be the local IP address of your router. But then it will distribute the rest of the IPs to the other devices. For example, this single PC might take 192.168.1.2. Your server will take 192.168.3, and the ILO part of that, which I will explain later on, might take .4, and these 16 PCs take from .5 all the way to whatever is like .10, .11, 12, and all of that. One important thing, key point here is, it don't matter how many cables connect to the router from these PCs, because the way these are connected, I will show you in the picture, are going to the hub. So basically we've got 16 cables all going to one switch, and only one cable goes from the switch to the router. But that router will will recognize all 16 PCs, and then will dedicate a separate IP addresses to each of them, even if it's connected by one cable. So that's the way network works. It's not number of cables that are going to the router, it's number of devices that finally are connected to that router. So now we understand that the local IP is following a standard way, and it's go from 192.168.1.1. For example, some of the routers are 192.168.2.1, and then the following devices will follow the same way. So go .2.2 and .2.3. So that first three parts are normally stay the same, and the last number changes from your router number. Sometimes you might see strange settings in the routers and say, even though router is taking .1.1, but it's just allowing the systems to take from .1.100 above. Well, that's a setting within your router, and normally you can change them. One other thing I will explain later to you is about the port numbers. You remember when I told you your IP address of your router, or these IP addresses, are same as your house number? The port number is like the rooms within your property. So once someone gets to your home, then they decide which room they go to. They go to the kitchen, they go to the dining area. So you will have different port numbers for different services within one device, one particular device. So let's say if in this server .3, 192.168.1.3 is the local IP address of the server, then different ports are shown like two columns, and then, for example, port 22 or port 443, for example. You show them in this way, and that is the way that you can use different services within the particular device. Don't worry, I will explain that to you later on. So let's carry on and go and show you some pictures of what I've drawn here. Okay, now, as I explained, we have a few computers here that are all connected to the same router. So the individual LAN cables from those PCs all are connected to this hub, and then one blue cable, only one cable from that hub is connected to the router. So here we go, we've got the blue cable that is connected to that hub, and then the hub distributed that to 16 PCs. We've got one cable that is gone to the other room, and then two other cables that are connected to the server. And those are one connected to the ILO, which I will explain what it is, and then another one is connected to one of the port of the server. If I want to explain the difference between the server and the normal PCs, I mean, obviously in details and technical there are differences, but in general it is the hardware that makes a server more reliable. So in here you can see that this server has got two power supplies instead of one, so if one of them fails, it can still carries on until it gets fixed. So the chance is less of being broken and the power get cut. On the other side, you can see that servers normally can take more than one LAN connection. So let's say you can feed more than one ISP service to the server. If one internet fails, then the other networks will work. And then there is one connection to the ILO module, which I'll explain later on. As I mentioned, we will go through that as well. That's what it is. ILO module is one added piece of hardware to the servers with one built-in chipset, which works almost independently from the actual hardware of the device. It doesn't need the device to be on to work, and it doesn't need the normally power from actual CPU or RAM or the hard drive of the device. This is like an assistant to control the actual device, especially when you don't have access to your server. So you can power your device on and off, or put it in sleep mode, or do many more things with it. So if you can connect another LAN cable to your ILO module and type the IP address following by the port address, you can access that the software of that device, and then you can control the rest of the machine. I'll show you how you can do that. As I mentioned, when you connect one device to the router, the router will dedicate one local IP address to that device. So this ILO system is the same as well. I just figured out that the IP address is one within the range. So let me just go back and log into my router. You guys might ask that how that can happen. Is there a software within the router? Yes, that's right. There is one small software within your gateway or router that you can access, and then you can make the changes on that router. We will use it a lot in this video. So what I did, as I mentioned, the first IP address will be dedicated to your router. In here is 192.168.1.1. After typing that in your Chrome browser, you will hit this screen, which is the username and password screen to log into the router. So I will type mine and make sure that I log in successfully. No, it didn't happen. So let me see why that happened. There you go. So this is the software of your router, which is showing the status of the device and the network and the rest of things here. As I'm using a Zixel router here, under the LAN info, you can see the information of the other IP addresses that are within the same network at the moment. We've got 1.2, which is probably this computer, 100 is the ILO of the server, and .3, which is the server itself. I've disconnected the cable to the rest of the computers. That's 16 lot. So we've got only 3 devices now connected to that particular router. Normally, ILOs are using one of the HTTP or HTTPS ports. We normally don't type them because those are predefined in the Google Chrome or other browsers. So let's say, for example, if you type an IP address, let's say we are within the same network now, by the way. So I'm going to type this particular IP address here. .1.100. The system will automatically add port 80 or 443, if I'm not wrong, 80 for HTTP and 443 for HTTPS. So now it will try to log in by that one, but you see, because I've typed it before, it just found the other. If I just open an incognito window and try to copy that, then obviously it's not gonna add that, hopefully, so I can show you. If I just delete that last bit, no, it's not helping us. So I was hopeful that it doesn't add it automatically to the end. Yeah, like this. But then what I've done is I've changed the IP address, the port number within the ILO to 4000. So again, another login, but this time login to the ILO software. Type the username. And the password, and then you will see the overview page of the ILO module. It's very interesting. You see, you can just control the power of your machine in here. You can switch it off, or you can switch it on, or you can reset it. So we've got a few different options here. It's showing the IP address of the machine and everything, and it's showing that the actual it's showing the IP address of me connected to the system of this computer. In here we have the remote console where we can control the device, and we can somehow, like, it works like a monitor of the device, so you don't need to access the actual server. You can just open a window that's showing what the monitor is showing at the moment. So if I just click in here, you can see the screen of your server. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to use this ILO system to just restart the server. I can use this bit here, or I can just do it from here. Or even in here, you can see power management. I can control it from here. So I've got 3 different ways which I can operate the power of the server. All right, let's just do it here. Press reset, and then the server will be reset. There is one, there is Linux already installed, but we will probably reinstall it again. So you guys will see how it works to install an operating system. There are a lot of information about ILO and how you can, the menus are explained. For example, this is ILO 4. If you just search ILO 4 help in the internet, you can see a lot of information about the menu. Just one thing, that you need to make sure the license is installed properly. You can see in this little bit here, it say ILO Advanced. So if you see that unticked, then you might have a big problem with accessing and especially installing media remotely into that machine. So you need to make sure these are all ticked. So the machine being restarted, and probably it will test the fan, everything, and it will boot up by Linux operating system. Under administration, you've got different user administration which you can set up, different users and everything. Under the administration part, access setting, you can see that I have changed the port number, web server SSL port, from 443 to 4000. It's optional, you can do that. You can change any of the ports, but the best is you leave the SSH port at 22. SSH, secure shell, is the way that you can communicate with that server over the web. So you will have like a DOS prompt or Linux prompt way you can log into the server, and you can do all of the operations by giving command to that server. There are other ports as well in here which you can either change or just leave it as it is. So web server non-SSL port is 80. Now we want to obtain the public IP address of my router that the service provider has dedicated to us. It's very simple. I can go to Google and then just type show my IP, and that's it. Google will demo the IP address dedicated to us, and it's writing the public IP address. Please note that these IP addresses that service providers dedicate are normally dynamic, and those might refresh and change every often. Some ISPs changing them automatically in one day, or some in 1 week, or some of them they won't change it until you restart your router. So we make a note of that, which is 2.179.33.98. We will be using that IP address to access the internal PC within the LAN through the router. So as I said, there are different IPs dedicated to these devices, and the different port numbers that we've created, but the router will not let the outside traffic to access any of the local devices. That's the main general purpose of the router. So what should we do now? That's a key question. What we're gonna do now, well, maybe later on after we install our softwares, is to open the access from outside world, from WAN to the local devices, and the traffic will go through the router and connects to that particular device. Let me show you what I mean by that. Just keep that IP address in mind. Back to our router. What we want to do here is we want to make sure that the traffic coming from outside, from public, can go through the router and goes to the server, at least the ILO of the server. Sorry, we're not going to connect to the server itself yet. We're going to connect to the ILO. We might be needing to connect it from outside world. So what we do here, the option that we have normally is under either port forwarding or NAT or virtual server. Different routers are called it in different way. This is a very key settings in order for you to be able to carry on this process. It's a bit technical, but if you know how to do that, then obviously it makes life easier and makes the connection possible. I have that option under the application, advanced NAT, and virtual server. So what we want to do is we want to tell the router to, first of all, we select the WAN connection, which is only one in my system, is what ISP dedicated. So there are some predefined services here, such as, you know, the guys who are doing gamings, they need to open the port as well in the device. And you've got mail ports, email ports like SMTP and so on. I think this is 465 of 993 or 25. You can choose things like HTTP, which is port 80, HTTPS port 443. We will come back to them. This time we just want to open the port to the ILO. So it's none of these, because we changed the port number to a manual one of 4000. So the service we want, I can call it anything. I'm going to set the port 3000 to 4000. So maybe I call it ILO 3000 to 4000. That's only for you to recognize the service. The IP address was 192.168.1.100. If you see these items here, it's because I typed them before. These are not from the database of the router. So we go with 192.168.1.100, the IP address of the ILO. Outside port, external one, I set it to 3000. I don't know, it's just easy to remember, and I'm pretty sure there is no other ports there that conflict with it. But the internal port was 4000, if you remember. So if you're not sure if the protocol is TCP or UDP, you can choose both. It normally is TCP in this case, but then you can choose both. If I save this, just let's go back to that laptop, the public one, to see if we come from outside, from different, from the world, then what happens if we type the public IP. That number there is the public IP of our project, the server and the main PC and the main router. You see that nothing brought up. It brought up nothing, even though followed by the port 3000. Let's try it again. We'll just make sure that there is HTTPS at the beginning. Yeah. So let's press enter again to see what happens. There we go. We are hitting the login page. Is showing this warning because there is not a valid SSL certificate, but don't worry about it. You just click on advance and proceed to the IP, and you will see that familiar ILO login page from outside world. So once you can log into this page, then you can control your server. We will use this to install Linux on that system, and then you can even control the power of the system and everything. So just let's type again. If you want to know what is the username and password of your ILO, it's normally a sticker on your server, and you can see the username, predefined username and password, which you can of course change them. If you've lost that, or the sticker is peeled off or something, there should be a way to find out what it is. You need to refer to the HP website for that guide. Okay, now we can see the media of the server here. Sorry, on remote console. So internet is a bit slow where I am now. If I just click on HTML5 console, then we can see the picture from that server. So now that we've established this, I will be using the local PC to install the Linux file, ISO file, that we will be downloading from Linux website, and we will mount it here. Just attach that here. We will find it from our computer, attach it, and then restart the server, and it will begin installing that file, that operating system, step by step. It depends which version of the operating system you want to install. I'm installing Ubuntu operating system, which we can download it free from the Ubuntu website. So you need to search in here, go to download, and find the software here, Ubuntu server, and that's the file you need to download. As I think it will be as ISO file, obviously, because you will need to mount that file in the ILO and reboot the system to boot up from the CD for the first time. Well, it's like a virtual, it's not an actual CD that you put in, you just mount it. So once you download this, then we will go back to the ILO software. Let's see if it allows us to log in, because we just logged out from the other system, public system. Yeah, that's fine. So the easiest way I found to mount the file is here in the remote console and going back to that HTML file screen, and then click here. You might not see this screen. This is a bit more further. You might be in just somewhere it says there is no operating system, because obviously your hard drive will be blank. Click on that icon, CD or DVD, click on a file, and I'll find that file from the screen. And just mount it there. I'm trying to see where it is. Okay, that is the file that we want to mount. So once you do that, you see that it says media installed, and there is a tick box there, and the system is ready for restarting. What we can do here is, in another thing we can do in ILO system, under virtual media boot order, the hard drive is selected. We can either select the CD or DVD drive as a priority, or current one-time boot option. We can set that to DVD. That means only one time it will reboot from that, and the second time, because the operating system will be part installed, will carry on booting from the hard drive. But this system is a bit clever, more clever than the old series that keeps reading from the DVD or flash once is set as a priority. It will unmount during the installation whenever it doesn't need to reboot from that device. So we just select that, and then all we have to do is, once we've done that and changed this, we have to restart the machine. The rest of the process, well, obviously in here, if we've just mounted the file, a normal PC, we just create a bootable flash USB and then plug that and just reboot from that. The rest of the process is all the same. So it's installing the operating system in the same way. So I will show you in either of the machines. It don't matter. We'll see if that PC is working, then it will carry on installing in a normal PC machine, because I want you guys to know that it makes no difference. You can make your PC as a server, home server device. Now I have a USB flash, and that ISO file is copied in this, but it won't work with normal PC, so I need to make it Ubuntu bootable. When I search in Google, there was a suggestion of a software called Rufus or something, RUFUS. So I installed that and plugged in the flash, and that software helped me to first find the ISO file within this and then create a bootable flash for me. Let me show you. So I'll try to download and install that little software, but as I said, internet is really slow here. So now yeah, there is a guide here, and click in here to see if we can download it. So it will give you a screen like this, and then you can click on that version 3.21 at this moment, and then it will download it for you. There you go. So it's downloading here, and you need to install it and just follow the instruction. It's quite basic software. Just make sure you before you copy the ISO file, you format the flash or copy all of your files. Sometimes it might show you error if you have got another files within this flash memory. So just click on start, and it will take about a couple of minutes and just make it bootable, Ubuntu bootable. Now I will be installing, well, I don't know, I might use server, I don't know. If this PC works, then we will install on that PC. If not, then we carry on installing on Ubuntu, on the server. Yeah, the other system was broken, so now I'm just using another system. We are going to boot up this Dell, I think it's a Dell or ThinkPad mini case. It's just got ordinary features and specifications. All right, so let's first, we need to log into the BIOS. You see, I hit delete button to just enter the, and F1 to enter the setup utility. This is the BIOS utility, which every computer have. And once you log in, you can set up which priority you want to give to what device to boot up the system. So in here we have the hard drive as the first one, and then DVD and any removable device. So we have to bring that one up. So we have to change this one to removable device. This computer's got another way of choosing the booting device, which is after this coming up. So I'm going to use that. But there is one interesting feature in this BIOS that under the power, you can see, you can set up that what happens after power loss. So you can make this PC to act like a server. So if there is a power cut and you don't have access to the device, it will come up automatically when the power comes on. So yeah, that can be quite helpful. So you can change that to power on or last state. So if it was off, it stays off after power on, power cut, or if it's you know, it's the other way. If it's on, then comes back on. I'm gonna leave them as it is. So before I just exit, I'm going to plug the bootable flash memory here and try to boot the device up on that way. So let's see what happens. All right, press enter, and then this quite old system. So yeah, F12 to get to the temporary boot up device, which is USB here. So if I just click on that, there we go. This screen that you see is the beginning of installation of the Ubuntu operating system. So I'll show you how you can get to the screen in an ordinary PC by plugging a bootable flash memory, and on that server we're gonna mount it and it will read it over the local LAN. So yeah, let's go to the other device then. So on this PC, in this server, I'm going to fit a hard drive without any information. So it's like a blank one, which I will mount it to the first space. Please, if you're going to remove any hard drive or fitting one, make sure that the device is off, so it won't damage the I/O. Now we will install Ubuntu into that server from another computer within the LAN. It don't matter if it's the computer within the LAN or one from outside, as long as you can see this ILO menu, then you can do the same process. But if it's within the LAN, obviously it's gonna be faster and it won't use your internet if you are somewhere with a limitation and a bandwidth, or you pay for your internet a lot. Then better to do it within the LAN system. But obviously if your device is in a remote place, you won't be able to do that, so you have to use internet. Okay, now in this ILO, we will power on the system. It is off at the moment, so let's bring up that remote monitoring page window, and then the server is off, so this menu is gray. We can use either this one or that one just to power on the system. One press and then the system will come up. Now the system is trying to boot up. It's trying the hard drive and the CD-ROM, but it can't find the bootable file or the ISO file. So it keeps restarting to find the file. Now what we will do is, I can use either this feature, or there is one feature somewhere which on the virtual media, yeah, that we can mount the downloaded file. So just click here, go to that bit, find the local file, which is here, and once we choose that, then on the next reboot we'll find the file and the process will begin. So let's see. Yeah, that's it. The same page as our installing PC, the mini case. So from here on, both processes are the same. It don't matter what device you are using. If you hit this page, you've done it right, and then we will carry on installing. So let's select, and then Ubuntu will begin installing the software for you. Now we are trying to do this without having actual access to the server, because you might using a remote server from any company which is in data center, or you are using your server somewhere else. So either way, by using this way, then I'll show you that how you can operate almost everything, I can say everything, without having actual access to the server. It will take a few minutes. That probably system will unzip that file in background, and it gets to the stage that it begins installing. Now we've got to this page. Please be patient, because it's gonna take a while, but I will cut this video to make it shorter. It just keep reading and writing to get to the stage that it asks for a language or partitioning the drive. and then in another stage it will ask what extra programs or extra softwares you want to include in installation. So we just wait for it to finish the job. It keeps going, showing a lot of green OK command lines, and I presume those are good news. So it means that the installation is going forward correctly and smoothly. You should get to this stage. You can see some red stars are moving there. Don't worry about it, it's normal, and showing some minutes and seconds that going by. So these are all okay. You just have to wait until it stops. I will make the screen large, so it's full screen now, so it's easier for you to see what's going on here. Okay, now that installation is completed, and we can log into the server from the Access software ILO. I'll just check that. I need to just check the username and password. Okay, there we go. That's it. Now we know that the system is working fine. We just need to be able to access it from outside. Again, we have to go back to our modem router's setting, and make sure to have access to port 80 inside port 80 from the outside IP address and different port. You need to make sure during installation of the Ubuntu that OpenSSH is installed as well. So we are talking about a couple of different ports. Port 80, we need to have access to port 80. We need to have access to port 21 and 22. Port 80 for web server, 21 for FTP access, so we can use some softwares to just copy and paste files where we want, and port 22, one of the important ones for SSH access from outside. Just go back to the router. Just one thing, unfortunately my ISP has closed the port 80, so I can, for some reason, I cannot open port 80 from outside. You guys might not have my problem. Sometimes they close these ports not to let the clients or customers to I don't know, create web servers easily, but then again, you know, you can use other ports to access. We go back to application and advanced NAT virtual server. Then let's add another service. Let's call it HTTP 8000 to 80, and then the IP address of the server was, but I'm not sure what it was. To find out, we can use some sort of ipconfig or ifconfig. Okay, so the IP address is, the local IP address is 192.168.1.3. So now we would know that what IP address is the IP address of the server, which is clearly different of the ILO IP address. I had it in my list. Okay, I'm going to forward 8,000 to port 80. And let's just save that. The other port we need to open is port FTP 2121.221. If the ports in your service is open, you can just simply choose FTP here, and the system normally do the rest of things for you. You normally have that FTP, HTTP, and the rest here. You see FTP server. If I choose that, then automatically will do if you don't remember the ports. But as I said, I'm not sure about ports and that from my ISP side. So I just go custom IP address again, and I'm going to just use 2121, but this side got to be the port number that is predefined. Save that one. Again, for SSH, you can have it in a list, you can choose it here like that, but not good for me. (22, 22, 2, 22), and again the same IP address. Right, all different ports that we need, 80, 21, 22, are open now. Now we will be trying to access our server from outside using SSH service and command. We can do it in two different ways. There is one software called PuTTY. I can either use that, just type the port number, the IP address, the public IP address of our router and server, 172.179.33.98. Port number was 2222, because we decided that to open this port 2222 going to port 22. So if I just click on open, you see that even from anywhere in the world now I can log in using the same username and password just to access the server. There we go. The other way to access would be just to use Windows command. again. The command gonna be like this: SSH, the username at that particular IP address, 179.33.98 space -p 2222 and type yes, and password, the password that you defined at the installation time. Now you are at the prompt command. You can now do everything, almost everything. So for you to find out what you have to do and what you need to do, of course there are tons of information and help on Ubuntu and Linux systems that it tells you about the commands that you can use. There are a lot of commands, and just works like the way that you have access to the interface and visual interface. So what I will do, one of the commands would be, for example, sudo su, that is to have the privilege, high privilege. So you see that it changed to root, and then I can just see my files and everything. It works a bit different way of Windows. It more look like a web server, it more look like you are in a web. So what you need to do now, you need to install the services that you need, such as Apache for web server, MySQL if you're using database, any like frameworks like PHP or Laravel or things like that. But if you want to have a software to handle your server in visual way, you will need to install things like Plesk or cPanel. Plesk is obviously a more popular one. And then all it is, you have to just type that command and make sure that you install that particular software. I have pre-installed some of them, but I will show you how you can install Apache. So we're gonna make the first website and we create a web server. It's very simple. So if I don't remember, what I have to do is I can go to my Chrome and just type. So as you can see, I type Linux command to install Apache server. You don't have to remember all of the commands, you can just search them. So that's what it is. apt-get install Apache 2. Let's see what happens if I just copy and paste it here. Alright, I had that package installed, so it didn't install it for me. It was already, so Apache 2 is already the newest version. So what we have to do is now we should just check if our server is working or not. To access your server with the Windows like interface, there are two softwares. One is WinSCP and another one is FileZilla. I'm using WinSCP at the moment, and in here what we have to do is to just make a new session, let's get rid of these. Well, we can just type a new one. New site, set that to FTP or SFTP. Again, the same IP address, 2.179.33.98. Port number, if you remember, we set 2121. We need to type the username and the password. So we log in now. So we are logged in now. If you go a few folders up to var folder and www.html, here is where the folder that Apache created. So whatever we copy here, probably, hopefully it will display. So I've created this index file with a one little animation logo, both copied here. Now let's try to see if our server is working. Let's type the IP address 172.179.33.98, and I couldn't just leave it as it is. If you forwarded port 80 to port 80, then you could just hit enter and you would see the result. But I couldn't use port 80 as it was closed by my ISP, so I just forwarded port 8000 to port 80. Let's see what happens now. There we go. Great. So you've done it now. It's done, and we can see that our web server is working fine. You can follow the rest of commands to help yourself with Ubuntu features and what the great things you can do. Now you can simply copy and paste HTML or even create projects in more advanced languages, and it will work for you. You have a server within your property which is just working like any other server. Alright guys, thank you for watching our video. I hope that you find it useful. If so, kindly subscribe and leave your comment below. If you have any more questions, please kindly ask, and I'll try my best to find the answer for you. Thanks very much.